Multicolored uncommons next. Should I read them? So how about this? Okay, since there is almost no colorless in this set. Okay, first let's say this: we never had this low number of colorless cards in any set, right?
Yep.
It is extremely low. So yeah, there's gonna be more cards in multicolored than usually, right? Usually there's 10, this is gonna be 20. Am I correct? Correct me if I'm wrong on that. There is gonna be more uncommons, I think. That there's gonna be more uncommons per color, if I saw it correctly, right?
I'm not 100% sure about that, but...
So yeah, I'm 99% sure. So, for example, like there is, okay, in black, there is color black, let's see, okay, 12 uncommons in black, and in this set, and for AFR, I'm not sure, maybe I'm wrong about this. No, that's not the case. Okay, so maybe all of these cards are just all of the low number of colorless cards are just then the 10 cards that we got, 10 more cards that we got in multicolored. So the color pairs are more supported in this set. There's a bit less fixing, good fixing. So I'm guessing Wizards kind of wants to push this into more synergistic 2 color pairs and maybe splashing something sometimes. Okay, by the way, want to do this like we did it last time. Okay, I read all the uncommons, multicolor uncommons, and then Mobieus reads all the rares and mythic rares, and then Scotty's uncommons for the next one, and so on. So we changed a little bit more, but so we don't wait for each other. Is that okay?
True. Okay, go on.
All right, Blade Stitched Scab for black and blue. It's a 2/3. It's a zombie. It says other zombies you control get +1/+0. So yeah, this is great card for the mirror. I don't really want to play it anywhere else. The decayed zombies. I skipped the card.
Oh, you're not doing it by set order, number order.
My bad.
You loser.
Okay. Arcane Infusion for a red. Sorry, Scotty resetted the grade. Sorry, guys. For blue and red, you have an instant that says, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an instant or sorcery card among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Flashback for 3 and blue and red. So 2 mana for its normal cost, 5 mana for its flashback cost. Top 4. This is not very good. Everything else doesn't go in the graveyard. This is not really a divination. Like, some things care about you playing spells, so that's kind of cool. But this is pretty bad. Like, you need to have like something like 10 instants and sorceries, and then you're still not sure that you're gonna get one every time you use this. And that's 7 mana to get 2 cards. I'm gonna give this a D-. I don't think this is very good. And we give in-color grades to the multicolor cards. Oh, Ionas, are you here maybe? Can you change the ceiling to be in-color? Just the name?
I can do that. I'm in the tier list, aren't I?
I'm not sure if you can just change it right there. Ionas knows more.
Does it mess stuff up?
Yeah, I'm not sure about it. So
I'll change it back then. Probably. It says ceiling for now.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm giving it like a low D-, and in color, D- as well. Like, you really need to have a ton of instants and sources, and I don't think. I'm not sure if you're gonna run 12 or 14 spell decks.
If you're in Izzet, you're running more spells, right? Yeah. Ideally, that's what Izzet wants to do. so then it might be slightly better.
Yeah, but still, it's not a very good effect. The cool thing is that you're gonna be playing more instant and sorcery with this. Like you play an instant and then you play another one and so on. Yeah, but you're usually not gonna be playing that man. This is not Strixhaven. This is not Strixhaven set. This is not where what you were used to there. Like you can think about AFR. This card is completely unplayable in AFR. In AFR you have 2 or 3 instants or sorceries in your deck on average. Now this is probably gonna have more, but more means 5 maybe. Maybe 6. Plus, hopefully. D minus, this is horrible card. If it works in your deck, like you're gonna know when it does, and it's gonna be late in the draft when you know that you want this card. Very, very late.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for the raid.
Okay. I agree with D minus. I don't want to talk about this card as long as you did because it's trash. So, but in color, I think it's slightly better. So D.
D in color, D minus out. Let's move on.
Okay. So I read this card. We got zombie 2/3 buffs other zombies. Is zombie itself, not non-legendary. In the mirror, great. Not in the mirror, probably horrible. +1/+0 is not big enough.
What?
+1/+0 is not big enough to splash. So I cannot like fixing is pretty mediocre, so I cannot see like people splashing this just to make some of their decay zombies better and so on. So out of before you know your Demir, it's still pretty good. I'm okay putting it at a C+, but in color definitely at least a B-. Like it has really good stats and it makes all the zombies better. It makes all the 2/2s, 3/2s, which matters. Nah, actually, just put it on a C. This is completely non-splashable. Put it on a C because it's pretty good, and I would say B- on color. Really nice in your, like really good as a 2-drop. Mid game, late game, early game in your Dimir decks.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, I agree with your grades, but I feel like you shit talked it a little bit considering how good it is in Dimir. Yeah, C out of color. You don't really want it. Definitely don't want to be splashing it. I don't think. Nah, but in color B-. It's very, very good in Dimir.
What did I shit talk about it?
That's the decay combination, isn't it?
What did I shit talk about it? What part?
You're like +1/+0 is not enough.
But you completely.
From your 2-mana 2/3.
But I never said that.
You said it's not enough.
It's not enough to be splashed.
Oh, okay. You didn't say to be splashed.
Yeah, I said I said +1/+0 is not enough, and then you said what? And I said +1/+0 is not enough to be splashed. I repeated the sentence. So yeah, that was the most important part with it.
Fair enough. I'll believe you, chat. But yeah, I'm gonna be calling this Blade Stitch Kebab a lot. Or Kebab, but other than that, it's a good card. What do you think, Scotty?
Yeah, I'll go with C, B-, same as yours.
Okay. Corpse Cobble for blue and black. It's an instant that says as an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice any number of creatures, create an XX blue and black zombie creature tokens with menace, they're just one token, where X is the total power of the sacrificed creatures, with flashback 3 and blue black. Same costing like the instant that we saw in Izzet, costing cost and flashback. Okay, This looks fine. I mean, it's not. We can compare it to Village Rites and Deadly Dispute, but you don't really want to sack something small and then just get a card. It's more like Tend the Pests with flashback. Not the same, but something. I think that's the most comparable card, where opponent is maybe trying to kill your really big creature, And
Tend the Pest goes wide, though, doesn't it?
what?
Tend the Pests goes wide.
Yeah, 10 pest goes wide, but it's like
This is
similar
the
when
opposite of that.
it's in some cases it's similar when you're gonna use it against removal. Because opponent it wants to kill your big creature, you make another big creature with menace. And if you're using it proactively, you're probably gonna be sacking the decayed zombies. Pretty good if you have the zombie lord to make them bigger, because it only looks at the power. So like you have the zombie lord and 2 zombies, and you sack those zombies with this, and then it's like 6/6 menace, and you have flashback to do it again. Usually not that excited about these effects. It just like needs a lot of work. There are cards that make zombies, but then still it needs work, right? You're using a whole card for this. Like if you made let's say you made like 2 zombies with some cards, and then you sack them for a 4/4 menace. It's kind of not enough. Like it's gonna be better when you have a it's gonna be better like very late in the draft. I'm just gonna give it a C-, and in color, just a C, and I can see myself going down on this, except in a very, very focused deck that you have with those zombies.
So my grading is a bit more wider than yours. So the gimmick with this is obviously the decayed zombies, right? You wanna sack those if you're in your Dimir archetype and you're making those semi-regularly. Because really, with the decayed zombies, you don't want to be attacking with them because they die after you attack with them, unless you're attacking for lethal, really pressuring your opponent. You want to leverage them for sack outlets or any other kind of benefit. Maybe even get the what's it called, the Coven ability, and you got an extra 2/2 coming out. But really, what this also represents is like somebody said in chat, if you have a bunch of them, you can attack with them. If any get unblocked, that's great, but when their triggers are on the stack, you can sack them and make one big zombie after they die. This has plus sides in that it comes back as a zombie, so you get zombie synergies. And the downside is you lose all the text on whatever creature you choose to protect with this. So I think Feign Death is in that respect slightly better than this. Plus it's only 1 black mana. Flashback is great. You can do it all over again later on in the game. So I think outside of Dimir, I would pick this fairly lowly. I wouldn't speculate on this or anything. So it's like a D+.
Yeah.
But in color, I think it's like a C+.
Can you give it a D? A D for me? Just a D?
D, which one? Out of color?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really want this, do you?
Yeah. You're never splashing for this. I mean, it's not just out of
But you're in color still a C, yeah?
Out of color is kind of not when you're not Dimir. It's more like when you're not sure about.
Yeah.
Dimir.
When you're not Dimir, or when you're still considering what colors you are, you're definitely not picking this up. This isn't a pull. Like you're not like, oh, Corpse Cobbler is great in Dimir. I want to go Dimir now. It doesn't pull you into it.
I'm gonna C- in color.
Oh, in color, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I want to stick to my C+.
Oh,
Let's see what Scotty thinks.
Maybe even less. It does have flashback though. Flashback saves it. Because at one point, like in the super late game, this is gonna protect you from removal in super late game. So that's pretty good. Scotty? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not super high on this either. I think a fun thing that maybe we didn't mention is that if you just have a board of decayed zombies, this actually blocks. Like you can just cast this, sack your decayed zombies, block something. This is the largest flash blocker in the set, I think, which is something because there's a decent amount of flash stuff. Fun fact, I think flash is more prevalent whenever we go back to Innistrad because they like to lean into sort of the jump scare theme of it, right?
Yeah.
Like flash represents jump scare for them, so they have a decent amount more flash in these sort of Innistrad sets. Anyway, don't love it. I'll go with a D, and in color, I'm sort of on a C.
Okay, I think that averages out to a C in color.
Yeah.
I'll go down to a D out of color. Like I said, it doesn't really pull you, and you don't really want it unless you're Dimir. So, but I think in Dimir it's decent. It's a decent combat. It has decent versatility, considering it does only really do the one thing. Like you can use it in like a bunch of different scenarios, which I like. So, yeah.
This is such an unexciting card, but it's still cool with the flashback. Okay.
Yeah.
Down,
All right,
Dawn.
next.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
sorry, go ahead.
Did you say something?
No, I just said, let's go.
All right. Dawn Heart Wardens for 1 and a green and a white. It's a 3/3 human with vigilance, and it has Coven. Okay, I'm gonna say what Coven is once, and I'm not gonna repeat it again. Coven is always counting. Coven activates something, and the trigger is always you having 3 or more creatures with different powers. So 3 or more creatures with different powers. Always gonna be that. And then we're gonna have some extra text. For this line of text, 3 or more creatures with different power, I think we can just use Coven, or if Coven is active or something like that. So at the beginning of combat on your turn, if Coven is active, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Which means if you have 3 or more creatures with different powers, all of your creatures get +1/+1 until end of turn. Okay, so not very good as a splash. Obviously, in color it's pretty nice. It's a 3 mana 3/3 vigilance, which is always fine. And at one point it can become 4/3 and make everything bigger. This is a beautiful card in Selesnya. Still gotta decide on this, but Selesnya cards like this kind of a lot of time break the best of one. The more aggressive the cards are, the more problematic they become in best of ones. So you're gonna see. But yeah, this is pretty good. I think I pick it pretty. I mean, I pick it as a C, sure, because it's really good in color. But I kind of want to be certain that I'm green-white. Still gonna pick it if I'm close, but I want to be certain. And in color, I'm not sure if it's a C plus or B minus, depending on your deck. I think I'm gonna put it at B minus. There are a lot of cards that do help to activate Coven, and +1/+0 for everything is pretty big. It's definitely B minus. Like, yeah, I think this falls into overstated creatures. Not hugely overstated, but overstated category. So B minus in color. C when you're not sure.
We're on this. I think I'm not going to get pulled into Selesnya. I was going to say Sikeknia then. So used to it. Selesnya, just because I've seen this. So it's a decent card though. Like you said, if you got Coven enabled, it's pretty good getting a little +1 across the board. Vigilance 3/3 in your colors is great. C minus out of, and if I'm in Selesnya, it's a C plus.
Yeah, I'll go with C, and then I'll match the grade with B minus in color.
Okay. Whoop. I don't know why
Okay.
these are going first. This 210 is the same. Okay. Devoted Graph Keeper. We got our first card that transforms on Disturb, right? Yeah. So, it's a white and a blue, 2/1 human, that says when it enters the battlefield, you mill 2 cards, which is good in this set. Good for you. You want to mill. Whenever you cast a spell from your graveyard, tap target creature you don't control. Why not? Kind of aggressive for Azorius. Not sure if Azorius is going to be that aggressive, but it's a nice effect to have. So 2/1 that trades, that mills, everything pretty good. And when it's in the... Okay, there's a disturb mechanic for those of you that don't know, which means when the card with disturb is in your graveyard, you can cast it transformed for its disturb cost. And this card you can cast for 3 mana, Azorius, as a 3/1 flying that can only block creatures with flying. Just 3 mana 3/1 flying is usually pretty damn good, but this one has to attack, but it's gonna come from your graveyard. So you got a 2/1 that mills, which helps you, that can maybe tap sometimes, probably not that important, but it can. And when it dies, it can become a clock. It can definitely, this is just a clock. This is a pretty good clock for just 3 mana. So this card seems pretty good. This is a beautiful backside, transformed part of it. So I'm gonna start it still on a C, maybe even Nah, I'm still on a C. And in color, definitely a B minus. Not sure if I should put this on a B. I think it's B minus because I think a lot of Azorius decks will not be that aggressive for you to pay mana for something that can only attack. And playing against white and blue, sorry, it's pretty easy for the opponent to block this with their disturbed creatures. So I'm gonna put it on a B minus. If your deck somehow ends up in a very aggressive Orzhov, it gets better. It definitely gets better. But I don't think that's gonna be your usual Azorius deck. I said Orzhov, I meant Azorius. Okay, so B minus in color, C out of color.
Okay, so before we talk about the card, I want to talk about Disturb a little bit more. Disturb like Flashback and like Eternalize, I guess, from Amonkhet, like somebody said in chat. And like all these other mechanics which let you cast a card twice. It means you're getting 2 for 1. Like you're getting 2 cards in 1, which is always worth noting, first of all. Second of all, I have a question about Disturb. So once my Departed Soulkeeper hits the board, I've cast it for its Disturb cost. It's not like Eternalize, because it's not a token. It's a transformed card. What happens when I put it in my hand?
It becomes, you can cast it as its front side again. I forgot to mention, when disturbed cards die, after they're transformed, they get exiled. So you cannot like continue casting a million times. That would be overpowered.
Yes.
Sorry, I forgot to mention. That's very important.
But if they go to your hand, they untransform.
Yeah.
And you cast the front side again.
Card is always the front side.
I just wanted to make sure, because that's a little bit of an upside to tokens.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Unless you really want to play the transformed part.
Well, but I mean, it's still better than losing it altogether, isn't it? So like bounce effects on tokens, destroy them. Bounce effects on transformed cards, put them back in your hand.
Give you more value. They give you more value in the long term, yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, I like this card. It's... Again, as a 2-drop, if it's in your colors, it's great. If it's not in your colors, you're never ever picking it. So, I'm going to give this a C minus as well. Like my previous Dawnhawk Warden's grade. I think in color, this one is better than the previous one. Whereas for the previous one, I put it at a C plus. But I think for this one, for me, it would be a B minus. I really like the 3/1 flyer you get off the back for 3. It's just very usable, right?
Scotty? So what do you give it? Sorry, Mobieus, you gave it a C minus?
Minus
right?
out of, yeah, but a B minus in.
Yeah, I like C, B minus. I mean, I'm pretty much on board with these past 3 grades. They're pretty solid role players in color, but not necessarily like signposts to go in and move in early.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay on going with a C minus on this. Because I don't think it's that... I mean, a 3/1 is pretty big. No, I'm okay with C. I'm okay with C. Sorry.
I was a C2 Mobius, sorry.
Okay. I got you. So you both... We basically got the exact same grades as the last one. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Okay, we got Dire Graph Rebirth. 3 mana, 3 colorless, a black mana, and green, that's 5 in total. It's a sorcery that says this spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature that died this turn. And the effect is you return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Wow, that's pretty good because it has flashback for 5 and a green and a black. So that's 7 in total, but it gets reduced again. It gets reduced with zombies that sacrifice, it gets reduced with trades. Trades are a normal thing in draft. You cannot expect to trade when you wanna, but trades just are normal things in draft. I would be happy to splash this in a lot of decks. The more powerful my creatures in the graveyard are, the happier I am to splash. There are self-mill effects, so this gets even better. It can provide like a full card, the best creature out of your graveyard, which is a pretty good flashback effect. Okay, I am... This is completely splashable. I'm gonna splash this in some decks. I think I'm gonna C plus with this. And in color, just a B.
Fair enough. I definitely agree with the in-color grade. It's pretty powerful in-color, but because black and green have, I feel like, the biggest creatures as well, like the heaviest hitting power toughness type creatures, right? They just have massive creatures, but black weirdly as well. But out of color, like I'm not looking to go into black green if I see this or anything. Like first pick, I don't fancy a gold card, but there are some color combinations I wouldn't splash in either. Like maybe not black white, maybe not. Actually, green red would be fine. Green white, maybe not. But yeah, I think I'll take it at a C.
I'm taking this high. I'm taking this at a B- in color B. I'm hot on this. Just the 2-for-1 value of, even though it's quite clunky, I would be pretty willing to splash this. Want to play it pretty actively.
Fair enough.
Okay,
But you're still in color B, yeah?
So somebody said in chat, and I think a lot of people might have this misconception, decayed zombies do not exile. They just get sacrificed.
Yeah.
They do not exile. They
happens.
trigger anything that says when he dies. They just get sacrificed. So what do you give it, Scotty?
B- out of color and B in color.
Okay. Okay. I might go up on this as well. But splashing is kind of hard, I think, in the set. But still,
Yeah, I mean,
beautiful card. And it's just for 5 mana, first effect is fine. But it's going to cost less. And 7 mana, it's going to cost less as well. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Fateful Mending. For white and blue, we have an instant that says you gain 2 life, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. And a flashback for 3 mana, Azorius as well. Again, negative card advantage first time you play it. Next time you play it, you still are not getting cards. You're looting away things. Gain life doesn't matter in this set. You can loot Disturb. This is a role player, which I don't think is gonna play almost any role. So I'm very low with this. Like, I understand what Wizards thought it's gonna be doing, but I don't believe that's what it's gonna be doing. I don't believe you're gonna be discarding Disturb cards. There are not that many. There are 2 in white common, 2 in blue common, if I'm correct, and 1 that we just saw, signpost uncommon, and some more uncommons, of course. Yeah, there are some flashback cards that you can discard as well, so that's pretty cool. But just using a full card for this, I don't know why you're not drawing at least 3 cards to discard 2. No, I'm on a D- with this, and in color, a D. Maybe it's gonna find a place in your rare Azorius decks that wants to do this.
Okay. I'm on the same grades. I want to mention.
Oh, be right back. Be right back.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I think this might have a space in. So we'll get to it later, but there's 2 cards in this set that let you loop your deck, so you don't run out of cards. There's one in green, and Devious Cover-Up is back. Nice. So I think if you're running some sort of white, blue, green deck, or just a combination of those colors in a pair, you can use this a little bit better. Like it's not quite the same level that we had in Ravnica Allegiance, where you're just making the stupid Dovin's Acuity deck or whatever. But I think it might be a role player in that, because you'll just get what you need and discard what you don't need at the time, and knowing that you're gonna recycle your deck at some point anyway. I think it might have a. I just want to earmark it for that deck, because if that becomes a thing, and we'll find out soon, this will be pretty interesting. But other than that, pretty mediocre, isn't it?
Exact same grades. D-. D. Don't love it. Instead of discarding your disturbed cards, you could cast them.
Yeah. All you're doing is mitigating the loss of a card if it has disturb on it. You're not actually making this card better.
To be perfectly fair, I think that faithful loot or faithless looting, like the card that this is a callback to, is actually kind of reasonable for like making sure you don't flood out. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's usually what you want to be doing, and I don't think it's going to be what you want to be doing here.
Cards is not good. Do you think this would be too powerful if it said discard one card? It would, wouldn't it?
That would be way too powerful. Yes.
Yeah. Maybe if it was more expensive. Yeah. Okay. Should we move on? Oh, wait.
Lola's not here, right? Lola's gone. Lola's AWOL.
Is there anything we want to mention?
I mean, you're supposed to mention anything that smack talks Lola right now. What sort of grievances do you have?
Lola sucks. I can't believe we're not doing it by CMC.
Yeah, what's with that? Come on, Lola.
It would be so much better.
Doesn't Lola treat Ionos really poorly?
Wow. Just rude, innit? Demand a raise. Demand a 50% raise from your £0 that you get right now. At least.
Okay.
Hey, I do want to mention though, Scotty, looking at some of the cards, because I've actually been looking for once. The mythics and rares look super bomby. Some of them just look absolutely bonkers.
We got a lot of really powerful mythics and rares. Like, there's not that many garbage ones like we usually see.
Yeah, I don't know what that's going to do for drafting, but we'll see. All right, next card.
Okay. 1 second. Flesh Taker. For a white and a black, we got a 2/2 that says human. That says whenever you sacrifice another creature, you gain 1 life and you scry 1. Why not? And for 1, you can sacrifice another creature, and Flesh Taker gets +2/+2 until end of turn. And you can use this as many times as you want. Yeah, this is pretty good. This is something that's gonna be nice with your zombies as well. Yeah. I'm into this. This card is beautiful. I'm still gonna be taking it as a C. But in color... Oof. Is it still just a B- or B? I'm not sure. What do you think, guys?
I like this the most out of the gold cards so far. This is the card that is going to pull me into a color combination. Because that is insane. This is exactly what Orzhov wants. And sometimes, if I'm going into Rakdos, I'll play this. The sacrifice synergies is real. Though I think Rakdos is more Vamps, isn't it? But still, I think this is just very, very good. For a 2-drop, it's a 2-drop that I'm willing to splash. But, I mean, with the caveat of being in red-black. It's very good. It's Scry 1 is great. Gain 1 life is, I mean, why not? Being able to sacrifice Zombos is amazing. To give this +2/+2. This kind of effect, the fact that it's colorless to sack as well makes it easier on the splash as well. I just think this card is super efficient for both the Orzhov and helps with the Rakdos archetypes as well. So we're decent in the Rakdos archetype. So I'm picking this at a high C+.
Yeah, I'm also gonna give it a C+.
Like a B.
Yeah, I think it's very powerful. C+ as well. But B- on color, I think. What do you think, Scotty?
I'll go B in color. We'll raise that up. I'll go C+ out of color.
Yes.
It is close.
Me and Scotty are on the same train.
Okay. I was not sure about a B- and a B, but yeah, this is an amazing sec outlet. This is just an amazing sec outlet.
Oh, well, I forgot to mention the most important thing. The art of this is on point.
Yep.
And obviously somebody's watched In the Tall Grass. Is that just, I mean, the menacing tall field aesthetic there. Great.
Yeah. This card is definitely beautiful. Everything about it. And very powerful. I don't know how I'm gonna really splash this. Like, Let's say splashing is not that good, Mobius, and like in the late game, you can just play a 5-drop or a 6-drop, right? It's not gonna have to sack anything to have these kind of stats.
Yeah, that's why I said with the caveat, because I'm not 100% sure how the vamp deck works. But if there's any kind of sacrifice synergies to be had in Rakdos as well, I'm gonna want this in it.
Okay.
But obviously in Orzhov, it just shines. It's very, very good. And I mean, it actually pulls you into Orzhov. That's the biggest case for this card, right?
I think you're kind of forgetting, like, okay, if you're talking about splashing, I don't think I want to splash this card, but green, white is go white, so that's something, and blue, black has zombies. Not sure, like, Rakdos is more about attacking and progressively getting more damage and a bigger board, but it's the decayed zombies are in blue and black, so you're already gonna have some zombies probably. White is gonna have some human tokens and shit, but yeah, and if splashing was more supported, it was super easy. Then definitely like Dimir would be the color, and Celestine I think where this would perform greatly. But don't forget, like you have in white, you also have the disturb cards. Yeah, I think it's being color. You have disturb things that you just want to put in graveyard after one point, and it's a great way to do it. Scry is not nothing. Okay, I love this card. Loved it when I saw it, but yeah, being color. I completely agree with you guys. Ready for the next one?
Yes.
Grizzly Ghoul for 2 and a black and a green. It's a 4/3 trample that says when it enters the battlefield, it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each creature that died this turn. Not easy to activate. Creatures are dying, but it's not easy to activate on curve, right? So for 4 mana, you have a 4/3 trample, which is fine, which is completely fine. Playable. Not super happy about 4/3 trample for 4 if that's the only thing it is. You have some zombies in black, so that helps. Creatures are gonna trade, so if you trade to creatures, if you can get 6/5 for 4, that's amazing, and that's a pretty big upside. Every now and then, before your turn 4, you probably don't play a land, so your opponent doesn't think too much about the 4-drops. maybe. You attack, the creatures just trade, you have 6/5 trample, which is huge. Now, it is not easy to have that activated. You don't want to just lose a random creature and then have it enter as a 5/4. That's definitely not what you want to do. When you already are on turn 5, you have 5 mana, then getting like 6/5 or 5/4 is nothing that special. On 6 mana, nothing special again. So this, I think people are going to be misplaying a lot with this card. They're going to be waiting for that turn where it's a little bit bigger than it would be. Decayed just sacrifices at the end of combat. So I don't think this card is overpowered or anything, but if you can more often than not make that trade happen, maybe you have a Death Archer or whatever, it gets much better. I would pick it as, I don't think this would pull me at all in this color. I would probably get it as a C-. But just because this upside of having a 6/5 is so big, and even if it happens like 50%, 40% amount of times where you have this on turn 4, I would just put it on. People are gonna be playing around this card, so that's gonna be a thing. That's also something you're gonna be having to think about when you play with Golgari, right? You're gonna have some attacks enabled that you otherwise wouldn't, because of this on turn 4 could be game breaking for the opponent if they don't have removal. So that's a pretty nice thing to have in Golgari. I would put it on a B- still in color, even though it's close to C+, because it is pretty hard to activate, and just a 4/3 is not that exciting. But with it decayed and with that high ceiling, I think it deserves a B- in color grade.
I'm a little bit lower than you. I mean, out of color, I'm on a C- as well. But I was thinking like C+, a high C+ in color. But I don't think it's that hard to engineer a situation if you're in Golgari on turn 4 with this in hand to get at least one counter on this. 4 mana 5/4 is just good. Maybe it is a B- in color then. Yeah, just because, like you said, I think let's say you didn't even play anything on turn 3, and you have your 1/2 drop, and you're attacking into it, and they have like let's say 2 creatures. Unless they and you haven't played your land, unless they just want to take damage for free, they're gonna trade with that creature with their 2 drop, or they eat it with their 3 drop. Now, ideally, if your card's being eaten, you're not attacking anyway, and then you just play this regularly. But if you have 1 or 2 creatures by turn 4, and you're attacking into it, your opponents, unless they're super wary of this card and they're just gonna take 3 to 5 damage just to prevent this from getting a couple counters, they're just gonna block on you. I'm gonna block. Like if I'm about to take 5, maybe 6 damage, if I've got 2 creatures or 1 creature and my opponent has 2 creatures, like I'm gonna block. You know what I mean? So yeah, C- out of color and C+ in color, it's decent.
I think this is. I actually kind of like this in color. It's pretty stinking powerful. C+ is fine, but I think I'm taking this at a clip of a C, even out of color.
Okay.
So you're not on a B you're on a C plus? More
No,
than
just-
a B minus on color?
Yeah, but this is reasonable. I don't think it's that hard, as Mobius was saying, to engineer just like a couple counters on this, and even the floor is not the worst. So
Okay. Hungry for more. For a black and a red. It's a sorcery that creates a 3/1 black and red vampire creature token with trample, lifelink, haste. Sacrifice it in the end of beginning of the next end step. Flashback for 3 mana, Rakdos. Yeah. Okay. Vampire team in this set. You wanna deal damage to the opponent, right?
Yes.
So you can get some extra effects from your cards that you're gonna be playing. You need to play those cards, cast those cards. This is horrible. This is the worst card I saw so far, and one of the worst in this set. This is in 2 colors. It is non-splashable. It is weak as shit. It's not gonna leave anything. You're basically paying 2 mana to make a zombie, a decayed zombie, that is a little bit stronger. You're gonna be 2 mana to play a decayed zombie that is gonna die even if it attacks or if it doesn't attack, but it's a little bit stronger. This is an F, and there is nothing in this set that pushes this card. Now, I will be incredibly surprised if this is not an F. Incredibly surprised. Because nothing that I saw makes this card playable. How the hell can you play something after you play Hungry for More? So, it's a 3/1 as well. Who the fuck cares about a 3/1? You play a 3/4, you play a 0/4, 1/4. There are cards like that, and you block it. And what did the opponent do? They lost the card and gained a little bit of life. They lost 2 mana, 3 mana later. So, if you want to deal damage to the opponent, 3/1 is not going to do it. Let's say this is a set where it does it. Let's say this is a set where this card can deal damage to the opponent's face. It's gonna do it. It's just gonna happen. How the hell do I play anything after I spend 2 mana? Would I play a 2-drop? And what does a 2-drop do after I've dealt the damage to the opponent? Nothing. Nothing. Do I play a 5-drop? Sure, yeah, I'm gonna combo this for 7 mana. Horrible shit. F in color, F anywhere.
I mean, I'm not that vehemently opposed to this card, but I also think it's trash. I'm not playing this card, F. Maybe it's a D- in color. I don't know.
When is it playable? Tell me. Because I don't see it.
Got a lot of vamps. And you got vamp synergies.
What synergy?
Maybe it comes in with a counter or something. I don't know.
But tell me one thing where it's good. Maybe I'm wrong. One thing, just one thing.
Attacking for lethal with 6 haste with trample.
With what haste?
When you have 5 mana available.
This is like, if you're doing this for lethal, then lightning what's the name? Lightning X? What the hell? Like Lava X? Lava X is the best card in the world then. If this is what you're doing to get lethal, then Lava X is the best card in the world, and it's piece
Is
of
Lava
shit.
X is Lava X an F on your book?
That was literally my
Lola?
next question for him.
Lava
Like-
X is like a D minus, and
There
some
you go.
decks played. But this is infinitely worse than Lava X. Like Lava X is gonna deal 5 damage. Your opponent has 5 less life total, which is horrible shit of a card. But they have 5 less life total. This, and I gotta be Rakdos, they don't have anything less. I have a little bit more life for 1 turn.
You convinced me, Lola. I'm gonna give it a D minus out of color and a D minus in color. It's just a
Nice.
card.
D minus squad. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. It's bad.
How the fuck do you play this? Tell me. When? One thing.
No, let's not.
No, I don't
let's
want to
not
tell you. I'm gonna keep it a secret.
I'm so angry at this card. How? No. You get it nice. Tell me just one example when this is gonna be better
I
than
already gave you
attacking for lethal with a 3-1
haste
with a 3-1 trample haste. That's your attack for
Times
lethal.
2. Times 2.
Okay, why don't you play a 2-drop and attack 10 times for lethal then?
Well, you can't play that on your critical turn where you need haste damage in there, do you?
Okay. You're just fucking with me with these D minuses. If you guys are gonna put this in your deck, you're gonna put this in your deck. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna put Hungry for More in your deck on Arena and in
Maybe.
pre-release. Okay.
Maybe I'll attack and then maybe Alpo won't do anything and then I'll sack it. I don't know.
Okay. You're gonna give me that deck. You're gonna give me that deck. Where you put this in your deck. You're gonna give it to me. Because I wanna see it. Scotty probably gonna make some shit with his 1-drops that he always does.
I mean, I was gonna say hyper aggressive. I think this is slightly worse than the 3-mana threaten effect.
This is
D
not even
minus.
aggressive card. This just if you're aggressive and you play this is like a late game aggressive card and it doesn't even do anything then. Like if you play this and you're aggressive, you just don't have any board. An opponent plays something and they have a board. And what the hell?
You can make that same argument for threaten, and I think it's slightly worse than threaten.
No, you cannot. Because Threaten works with sec effects. You kill the opponent's creature, you attack for they lose a blocker, you attack for taunt, like you steal their. So Threaten is pretty bad, right? Without the sec effects. But you're stealing their biggest creature, not a 3-1. Their biggest creature, they lose a blocker, you attack for a lot of damage. And it's still shit. That's a very bad way to use it. But if you have sacrifice, you're killing their creature and getting the extra value from it. This is like you're losing everything. They still have their blockers and everything. You're losing the board, you're losing everything when you play this. Man, this is like the prime example of an F card. I don't know if any... Okay, Needle is worse.
You know it was, yes.
Okay, that is the worst card. I'm sorry. For white, join the dance. Okay, time for peace now. Green and a white mana. You got a sorcery that creates 2 1/1 white human creature tokens, and it has flashback for 3 and white and green. So sure, 2 mana, you get basically 2 worth of stats. Maybe gonna be better with your Coven, like putting counters, 1 counter on 1 creature, one of the tokens, one somewhere else. Gonna be fine with if you have something to. You're not really gonna have any seconds, Celestia.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird that this is in Selesnya. But also, Selesnyas go wide, so
Yeah.
it's not that crazy.
I mean, it has flashback. I like this card. Gonna make some tokens later on. There are 1/1s, but yeah.
Give it a grade.
I want a C minus. It is. And in color, C plus. It's good in color, yeah. Nothing. I mean, what to talk about this card? It's pretty good. It's fine if you're Celestia.
I'm gonna D for this card out of color. I'm never picking this. Or it's not pulling me at all. If anything, I'm like that. And in color, it's like a C, I guess. because it's just a 2-drop that I can get back later. It's okay.
Smack dab in the middle. D+, C+.
Okay, I'm also on a D+, yeah. I'm picking this like late when I'm Celestia, and there are a lot of cards that are in Celestia, like in green or white, are gonna be better 2-drops than this. So yeah, I'm on a D+ as well, and yeah, C+ in color.
How
Okay.
does one vote on the tier here? Exclamation mark vote. There you go. God, just put it in. All right, next.
Kessig Naturalist for... Hey,
There you go.
it's a daybound creature. Is this our first nightbound creature? Yes.
Yes.
Alright, we got a human werewolf. So all of these daybound, nightbound creatures are on common and uncommon. I think all of them are werewolves on both sides. Right? Chat is gonna tell me if I'm wrong. I think all of them that I saw are werewolves on both sides. So you get a 2/2 for 2 mana, and whenever it attacks, add 1 red or green mana to your mana pool, and you don't lose that mana until the end of turn, as the steps end, right? So you can use it on your second main phase. So it has daybound, which means the day begins. If it was already night, that means that it's gonna enter as Lord of the Ulvenwald, which is, or it can transform when it becomes night, and it's on the battlefield as a daybound counterpart. So it's a werewolf that says other wolves and werewolves you control get +1/+1, and it's a 3/3, and you pay 2 mana for it. Pretty good so far, and it has the same effect as the first one. So yeah, red and green are definitely werewolf colors. You're not gonna be splashing for this. What is +1/+1? Not enough. Yeah, this is pretty good. I mean, let's say you can do a lot of things with this. Like you can wait with it and then make everything a lot of things you have bigger. You can also attack with this and then just trade it, and you play your 4-drop, for example. If you're on the play, it's gonna be pretty cool. If opponent doesn't play anything, if you're, I guess he's fucking with me in the chat, but I'm busy talking. So if this, I mean, if the opponent doesn't have anything, similar to the treasure horde robber, right? Similar to the horde robber that makes a treasure, but this is like a 2/2 that is gonna trade. It ramps you for 1 turn, but it can become a 3/3. It can be relevant late game, making your things bigger. This is a beautiful card. Not gonna splash it, but I'm gonna put it on a... I'm gonna put it on a C, and in color, at least a B-.
I think this is a bit better than that. I would pick this pretty highly. If I see this early on in the draft, I'm gonna think that people are maybe ignoring Gruul a bit, so I'd go into it, or think about going into it. So I've got this at a C+. And in color, I think it's like a B. I mean, werewolves is what you want to be doing in Gruul, so yeah, very strong.
Yep, I'll go C+. I'll go C+B.
B, really? Like, there are a lot of great...
Or are you still on a C?
You're on a... I'm on a C, because I'm not gonna pick this like super early, but you're on a B? Like,
in color? Yeah, amazing.
That's high. I mean,
this is along the same lines of Flesh Taker, like pulling you into those colors, I think. Like, it's just so strong, isn't it?
I think we should talk for a second, because I think that being able to come in while it's night on the backside immediately is actually like a meaningful upgrade to the last time we saw werewolves. I think that's highly impactful.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. That's true.
Yep.
Okay, but yeah, B, definitely not a B+. Like, it's still, the stats are nothing special. The effect is nice. Everything is nice about this card. It's not like
that is better than a B-, right? I mean, we've already outvoted you on the in-color grade, but it's still...
But, I guess, yeah, I'm okay with B, but I'm gonna pick it as a C, because I'm definitely not gonna be playing this outside of Gruul. So similar to the Flesh Taker.
You don't think Flesh Taker... This is a reason to go into this color combination as much as Flesh Taker is to go into Orzhov?
Yeah, I don't think so. It's still pretty good.
Oh, you're
Later
wrong,
on, like
but
when I get
let's
some
next card.
wolves and werewolves,
Blood
I'm gonna
draw.
be much happier to play it. Rite of Oblivion. For a white and a black, it's a sorcery that says as an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a non-land permanent and you can exile a target non-land permanent. Exile. No flashback, no graveyard recursion. Okay, flashback. I guess creatures don't have flashback, so no disturb, no graveyard recursion. Pretty good, yeah. And you have flashback for 4 mana? Yeah, I mean, even if you have to sacrifice like a zombie or something, or maybe a human token, I think this card is very powerful. Very, very powerful. I think I still pick it as a C+, but in color, I'm on a B+ for this. It is a sorcery though. B or a B+, I'm not sure. B or a B+. What about you guys?
So C+ out?
C+, yeah. High C+.
I agree with that. Yeah, I would pick this fairly highly. I mean, it's a removal you can play twice. It's in the color combination that should have zombos lying around, or hopefully for you to sack. Or alternatively, clues. So, you know, it's non-land permanent you sack.
Or creatures
Any
with
kind of
disturb.
artifact or something you can also get rid of. And it exiles, which is relevant, a non-land permanent, which is also slightly relevant. So yeah, I'll start it off on a B+. Why not? I think it's going to be super annoying.
I'm down for B+ in color because I also think black and white are pretty reasonable at leaving around sacrificable fodder around. But I'm on a B- out of color too. I think this is pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Draws me into it.
You know what? I'm on a B- for this, and I'm on a B- for Diagraph Rebirth. I can change that, Mobieus.
You mean
thanks,
out
man.
of color or in color?
Out of color. I'm on a B-
Oh,
on
it's a
both of
B-
those.
for both of them?
Yeah, I think these are the most powerful cards that we saw. And this is super splashable, and that is splashable. Like if you're playing Decay Zombies, this is the one I'm gonna splash for sure. Decay,
B-
Dimir.
out of color as well. I think it's just very powerful in it.
Yeah. Dimir or Celestia gonna be very happy with this.
Yeah. And the thing about, let's just mention again that the thing about one-on-one removal in this set is that it's not always great because you have stuff with disturb.
And stuff that enters the
this you can
battlefield.
cast twice, and it exiles, and it's any permanent. I think it's pretty good with the mitigation there being that you have to sack something on your side, but it's super cheap, and even the flashback is not super expensive either. So, you know, it's just very, very good, and very, very efficient, and very, very final when you exile one of their things. Rather than send it to their graveyard so they can cast it again or get their death triggers or whatever, you know.
Yeah, it's a beautiful card. Root Coil Creeper. For a green and a blue, we have a 2/2. Scotty, can you? Thank you. We have a 2/2 for Simic that adds 1 mana of any color on tap and adds 2 mana of any color on tap, but if you're adding 2 mana, you can spend it only to cast spells from your graveyard. Which is Disturb in blue, which is Flashback in blue-green. Maybe you're splashing something. It is any color, so this is beautiful for fixing. And for 2 mana, that is green and blue, and a tap, and you exile this card from the battlefield, right? It's not from the graveyard. We saw some of exile from the graveyard. Return target card with flashback. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you can't tap in your graveyard. Just the fact that it says tap means, like, you know.
That probably makes sense.
Sorry.
Return target card with flashback you own from exile to your hand. So you're gonna be able to cast the card with flashback and recast it for its flashback cost. So this is amazing. This is amazing. It fixes. It rams for flashback. It blocks attacks if you need it to. Hopefully don't. Hopefully you don't need to do that. And then at one point, it's gonna give you like the thing that you really want with flashback, if you have enough, of course. And you can cast it 2 times. Like at one point, 2 mana that rams is not relevant anymore. But this is gonna be relevant because it's gonna transform itself into that card and get into your hand.
Yeah. And it's any flashback card, right?
Anyone that,
Wait,
that is
flashback is
exiled.
always instant or sorcery, right?
It just has to be exiled, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, all the flashback cards are instant or sorcery.
Yeah. And you get to cast them again twice. So.
Yeah, this is amazing. I mean, never gonna be splashing for this, so I guess I'm gonna give it a C+, a high C+. But in color, I still think it's a B. I still think like it's a B. It's probably gonna get removed at one point, and it's good target for removal. Anything targets it. You cast it pretty early. Later on, it's fine as well. I'm still on high B for this card.
So
in color.
I agree with your grades, but I just want to caveat that with I don't know if blue-green's going to be very good from the cards I've seen so far. Not so far, but in general, what I've viewed of this set. But I mean, this card is definitely the real deal. But I don't know, man. I reserve the right to come back and grade this down depending on how bad blue-green is overall. But I mean, green's very strong, and blue by itself is very strong. I don't know if the combination is going to be very synergistic or anything, so we'll see. I know blue commons and uncommons are pretty good, so but yeah, C plus B, I agree with that. It's a very good 2-drop in your colors, very good, and it does pull me into Simic. So.
Same grades.
Okay, same grades. Good. Nothing to talk about it.
Nope, let's go.
Sacred Fire for red and white. It's an instant that says it deals 2 damage to any target and you gain 2 life. And you can flashback it for 6 mana, also Boros. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it gains you life as well. Pretty damn good. Not really splashable, I think, but for 8 mana you can kill something that has 4, but this is pretty freaking good, and it's instant speed as well. Phew. I'm gonna pick it as a C, but in color I think it is a B minus.
Sure, I agree with those grades. But what is Boris trying to do? I think Boris. I rescind my previous comment. I think actually Boros might be weaker than Simic, or they might both be vying for the worst color combinations. I don't know. Does Boros not really have a direction other than Smorg?
Hey, playing a curve of creatures and attacking is the classic of Magic. That's the fundamentals.
Yeah, the age-old formula
yeah.
for winning games in Limited.
Especially in
Fair
Best
enough.
of One.
Oh, yeah. Let's not talk about that. Okay. What do you think, Scotty?
Yeah, I mean, I'm outvoted already. I have this at a C and then a C+. I think that 2 mana misses a decent amount of stuff, but it's overall hard to argue with this card's value and efficiency, so.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, if you are doing Boros things, it's pretty good at putting you in favor of winning the race, right?
I mean, weirdly enough, this is much better of a defensive card in my eyes, Sacred Fire, because like you can't really use the 2 damage to knock out a blocker and attack, which is sort of what I want to be doing with my non-creature spells. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What'd you say, Lola?
A trick is gonna be better a lot of times.
Yeah. But you get to play it twice, so.
Yeah, but I'm
Alright,
pretty
let's
happy
move on.
with it. Maybe actually, you know, yeah, 2 misses a lot. I'm also on a C plus with this.
In color?
Cool, we'll go C+.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll change it.
Storm Skrillex for 3 and a blue and a red. It's a 2/4 flying creature that reduces instant and sorcery spells by 1 colorless. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So 2/4. Usually we got a 3/4 as a base for 5 mana. This is multicolored. You play one sorcery or instant speed card, it becomes a 4/4, then a 6/4. Yep, it's a fine card. Usually we expect this. I mean, usually on Guilds of Ravnica we had it on a 3 mana as a 1/4, and it didn't reduce anything, but I'm pretty happy with that. There are flashback things, so you're gonna be double spelling sometimes. You wanna be double spelling with your flashback cards and so on against werewolves. I mean, it's okay, but I'm not that in love with it. I think I'm not picking it that highly. I think I'm picking it as a D+. Depends really on your deck so far. So early on I'm not really gonna take it. And then in color, probably just a C, I think. Maybe a C- even. I want a C- in color. And then if it becomes better, sure, it has a higher ceiling, but that's what you're gonna decide like in pack 2 or 3.
I'm higher than you. I think I'd pick this at around a C level. If I'm seeing this, I'm assuming nobody wants to go into, is it? Because it hits like a truck. It flies, makes your instant and sorcery cheaper. I mean, what more do you want? And I think in color it's at least a C+, maybe even a B-. But the 4-drop slot, shit, it's 5 mana.
It's 5 mana, yeah.
Okay, slightly worse then. I'll keep it at a C+.
I think
it's pretty good.
For 4 mana, this card would be busted. For 5 mana,
I think if you think about it, a 5 mana 4/4 flyer is great, but this isn't always a 4/4 flyer. But it does make your sorcery cheaper and stuff. So yeah, I think it's a C+ at least in color.
I don't think it's even close to 4/4 flyer. But yeah, for 4 mana, this would be crazy powerful. Crazy powerful. What do you say, Scotty?
Okay, I'm in the middle, out of color, speculating on it. I'll take it as a C-. In color, I think it is actually a C+. I think one thing to note is that in a set with flashback as a common and fundamental thing to be doing, it's easier to trigger this in multiple turns.
Yeah.
Or once in the same turn, even.
Yep.
That is true.
Sorry, twice in the same turn. I misspoke. But yeah, it's solid.
We got your you were trying to say.
Okay. We have a Sunrise Cavalier for 1 and a red and a white. It's a 3/3 trample haste. And if it's neither day or night, it becomes day as Sunrise Cavalier enters the battlefield. We have some cards that have this effect. They are neither day bound or night bound, but they have some effects that trigger when it becomes night or day. Whenever day becomes night for this card, or night becomes day, put a +1/+1 counter on any target creature you control. Which is pretty good. Like 3/3 trample haste is already good on its own. Not really splashable. Some extra effects, why not? Why not? Seems pretty damn fine to me. Opponent not gonna really want to trigger to change the day to night and night to day that many times. So yeah, I'm picking this as a C. Like, not gonna put me in Boros. In color, definitely a B-. What about you guys?
I think I agree with the in color, but I think I'm picking this a little bit higher. This kind of gives me a flavor of what red-white wants to do then, I guess. Basically, we don't really want it to be night, but we really want it to turn back to day from night, which is great. And the way we turn back from day to from night to day even, sorry, is playing 2 cards, right? And Boros, I'm assuming you're playing a lower curve, maybe? So that's going to be possible. So changing night to day. Okay, I'm on board. C+. I'll look at this as a direction to go into Boros.
C+ for me as well.
And
You
in
agree
color?
with B- in color?
Yeah, B- is good for me in color.
Fair enough.
Okay, we have Unnatural Moonrise for a red and a green. That's 2 mana in total. It's a sorcery that says it becomes night.
This is the only card that says this in this set.
That's the only card on common and uncommon, the cards that you should care about. that says this, and I'm not sure if there's anything else in rare or mythic, but it doesn't matter at all. Until the end of turn, target creature gets +1/+0 and gains trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. For flashback of 4 mana, also Gruul, you have the same effect. It's fine, because it's probably gonna replace itself. If Gruul should care about Knight, really wants the Knight, so really depends on your deck. Doesn't do anything on its own. Like +1/+0 is nothing special, but if it is gonna replace itself, it's pretty good. Maybe you put it on a double striker. Yeah, you really need to have a focus deck before you take this. I'm starting this card as just a D, and you need to get into that deck, and you need to get those Werewolf Night Matters cards or Switch Matters. The cool thing about this is you can switch 2 times, right? You can use this card and something else, and then next turn it becomes Day again. So if that matters to you, it gets better as well. But I'm on a D for start, and in color, I'm on a D+. Nah, I'm on a... It can draw 2 cards. I'm on a C-, but again, it gets much better when you have a focus deck that cares about this effect. Mobieus?
I wanted to check. How do you check for number of cards that have
Daybound?
Nightbound?
You can just write day as well, or night.
So Oracle, Night. Let's see here. Ugh, I need to remove rarity rare.
Maybe Scotty, you want to talk about it while Mobieus is checking things out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure, yeah. I'm on the similar train as you, Lola. I got this a D out of color. I don't think you want to take this particularly highly. In terms of as far as combat tricks go, I think this is extremely powerful in color if you're doing the thing. You say like you need a pretty specific deck. I'm pretty sure the red-green decks are just going to end up there, sort of naturally. So, oh wait, I don't know how I missed this in sorcery. Yeah. Yowzers.
It'd be very good as an instant.
That's
yeah,
huge.
I was thinking like that's pretty low, but no, yeah, D and C- is fine.
That's huge, yeah. That is a sorcery.
I think I might come back and change this, but I want to start this off higher than you. I think C-ish I'm picking this up at. I think Gruul is the color combination that has, again, I mean, we already talked about this, the werewolves that want to be night. So the fact that you don't have to even start at day, like you're just at night immediately. Right, you don't need to play a daybound and then wait, like whatever. You just make it night. You're in. Your werewolves become your human werewolves become werewolves, and you just get in there. Draw a card if they hit with their trample and their +1, and you get to cast it twice, so you can make a night later on in the game again as well if need be, without having to not play anything for an entire turn. I think that in itself is what's pulling me towards this card, is the fact that, because to make it night, you need to not play anything. And the fact that you can play it, make it night, is huge. So yeah, did you guys say C+ in color?
C-.
I'm also on C-, yeah, but higher obviously.
But I guess it's a C- in color then, which looks weird, but I'm picking it at a C-ish out of color. If I'm seeing this pick 3/4, I'm probably gonna pick it up.
Because this can push a lot of damage, like when all of your things opponent doesn't
Flip
expect
suddenly,
it.
yep.
And all of your things become just bigger.
Because your opponent's not expecting them to flip without you spending a turn doing nothing, right?
Yeah.
But that's not what's gonna happen. You're gonna flip everything and then attack.
But the thing is how much, what is everything? Like how many are you actually gonna have on the board? So that's why you really need to...
If you have 2, it's fine. If you have 3, it becomes really good, I think.
But I think you do need to have a focus deck. And one thing to note is, like, let's say you play like some daybound, nightbound creatures and it's turn 5, for example. It's not that easy to double spell, just in general in Limited, depending... Of course, depends on what your deck, the opponent's deck is. But it is not that easy. The problem with this is... if you play it for 2 and you don't want it to become day, and you don't expect the opponent to make it day during their turn, maybe they don't have enough mana, you cannot play any card after this, because it's gonna become day on their turn.
Yeah, but then you can play it again on your next turn. Make it night again.
Yes, that's true. You can do that, but it is 4 mana then, which is
Yes.
quite a lot. But it can push a lot of damage because creatures become pretty big during night with 8-bound, 9-bound.
The werewolves become a lot
Yeah.
like, just
They become overstated. They just become overstated.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a very interesting card. I'm glad that it exists. We got a Vampire Socialite for a black and a red. It's a 2/2 menace that says when it enters the battlefield, if an opponent lost life this turn, this is a recurring theme with the vampires. All the vampires are gonna, most vampires are gonna have this. You put a +1/+1 counter on each other vampire you control. As long as an opponent lost life this turn, each other vampire you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Just the 2/2 menace is pretty good. Especially in these colors that are pretty aggressive. Rakdos could again be problem in best of one. We're gonna see about that, but that's what it looks like. It's making things bigger, like later on, because there are enough vampires. Making things bigger just by playing a 2-drop that has menace again, has to be blocked. 2-drop that has to be blocked with 2 creatures. It's pretty good in an aggressive deck. And making things come in bigger if you manage to deal that damage. Like for example, you played it on turn 2. You're probably gonna be just attacking, especially if you're on the play, and dealing that 2 damage.
Yep.
And then you're gonna make something overstarted. And yeah, menace helps with pushing the damage, so you can other vampires also have effect that that triggers when opponent lost the life this turn. So yeah, this does a lot of good things for this archetype. And a lot of times opponent is gonna be like, even if they are aggressive, they are gonna be afraid of attacking for you to triggering all of these things. So yeah, I like this card a lot. Picking it as a C, because it's pretty good in this archetype. In the archetype, probably just a high B-.
Okay. I'm at a B in color, and I think, like you said, especially in best of one, if you're going first, I mean, they have to outright removal spell this. If they play a creature on turn 2, they're not going to be able to block this. So, I mean, it's a C+ for me, and in color, I think it's a B. But you know.
Yeah, you know what? I'll go C+B. I'll go Team Mobius.
Okay.
It just always gives you value, right? Like even late game, you play it. Let's say you have 6 mana or 5 mana. You can attack. If you do damage, you can play this and another 3-drop. It gets a +1/+1 counter. And if it's already on the board, obviously you can play a bigger thing. But it's just always useful. And it really brings together the vamp.
I think sometimes you cannot deal damage to the
I think
opponent.
Rakdos is going to be a menace, pun not intended, in best of one.
Sometimes you cannot deal damage to the opponent, but it's a 2/2 menace. I mean, that's pretty good floor. Like if that's the only thing it does, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
We got a Wither Torn Blessing for a green and a blue. It's a sorcery that says put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature you control. Tap up to 1 target creature you don't control, and that creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step, and it has flashback. So you really want to mill this card. This is something that I don't think it's. I mean, it's like a small aura. It's funny if you want to get aggressive. Like you're gonna be using 5 mana. It's not terrible. It looks kind of bad when you first look at it, but I don't think it's terrible. It's
fine.
Yeah, it makes more attacks possible. The biggest blocker is gonna go down. They're not gonna be able to attack with it next turn. You're gonna be able to have another attack with it. I don't think
isn't the same as flashback.
What?
I'm just responding to somebody in chat.
But I'm picking this pretty low. I think I'm picking it at a D+, and in color, it's probably a C-. Still nothing special. But it's not
I agree
horrible.
with in color. Yeah. But I'm out of color. I'm picking it out of D. I'm never even looking at this unless I'm already Simic.
Yeah, I'm okay. Put it on a D for me as well.
Scotty?
All right, I can go off on this a little bit. So
Oh, no.
it's bizarre to me, this and Boros, right? The
Yeah.
two cards that, funnily enough, you called out, Mobius, that have two different uncommon quote-unquote signposts that split you in different macro directions. So yes, this has flashback, and the other card helps flashback stuff, right? But the other card is more of a grindy, defensive ramp style card. That you get sort of value off of, and this is definitely an aggressive card. This is much better on the defense. Or sorry, this is much better in the offense. Like you can play it defensively, but I think where it really shines is like tapping down two of your opponent's stuff and getting in there, which is very strange, you know, that they're forking you in those two different directions. The rest of the multicolored cards sort of have the same idea, right? Black, red, both the cards are aggressive, even though one apparently is an F. Both werewolf cards are relatively aggressive, right? But this one is split, which is strange, and we'll see how that plays out for the archetype. It's concerning. I'll put this at a D and then a C minus.
Okay. Same.
You think they just did it for color combination flavor, Scotty? Because like putting this in Boros would be weird, right? You don't usually get this kind of effect, the tap and doesn't untap effect in Boros. So maybe that they just did it. You know what I mean? They just did it because it's the correct thing to have in Simic, and that's the correct thing to have in Lightning Helix colors.
I mean, like they could just design a different card if they wanted the effects to match up.
They could have done that as well.
Yeah, I don't know
But
why
they chose to
it's so
instead
split the
put
effects.
awkward opposites to the synergy type of cards in there. Whatever. All right, we're on to rares.